The worst night, I think, was when my mum told me that she couldn't afford to keep me, so I had to find somewhere to live. I've become homeless from just getting into trouble, falling out with my family.
Because what I've did to my mum.
As a teenager, I was for 6 months homeless myself.
I wanted to do something that might be helpful.
Stayed here, there, wherever I could actually get to stay.
Moving from friends to friends and town to town.
When I was homeless, it was proper scary for me.
It's my mistake, which I did, and yeah, but now it's too late.
We've all got that same fact that they haven't got a roof over their head that night.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to give something back.
Bradford Nightstop is an organisation that provides emergency, one night at a time accommodation for homeless young people aged between 16 and 25 in the Bradford area.
I got upset when I walked past people in the street and I saw that they were homeless, but I didn't really know how to help them.
I could relate to where people have come from. I moved out myself at a young age, so...
We did have the accommodation available, it was being unused and we felt that was inappropriate given all the need.
And it just looked so easy, it looked like a very rewarding activity that was very simple that I could do. And once I had a spare room, I couldn't think of a reason not to volunteer for Nightstop.
Our volunteers can volunteer in a number of different ways. There are volunteer telephone contact people, drivers, hosts, mobile phone holders and management committee members. We also have one volunteer who provides safe waiting for young people.
Before I became homeless, obviously I was living with my parents and it just didn't bother me. I never thought I'd actually become homeless because I always thought I'd have my parents looking after me, but obviously it seems not.
When it came to the time of being homeless, it was hard in so many ways.
A social worker from Huddersfield found for me accommodation in Bradford in hostel, yeah, Nightstop.
I found out through a leaflet in the town centre.
Where I went to were connections and they helped me.
Hello, Bradford Nightstop. TCP, and I get to speak to new people that I haven't really met within Bradford Nightstop.
So it involves quite a bit of ringing around, etc. Booking as a volunteer driver has to be arranged.
You might have numerous calls and you might find that a little bit busy and you've got to do a lot of communicating, taxi booking.
A host, I have to contact them to let them know so-and-so will be coming this evening, all the necessary checks have been done. Would it be okay to have them up at your house for a certain time?
Maybe speaking to the mobile phone holder just to clarify some information. So there's a lot of calling around and it might take a little duration of time, but perseverance, it's manageable.
And once all the paperwork and all the checks have been done thoroughly, that young person can be housed for that night.
What I like about it is being able to, know that I can put someone up for the night and I might have a spare evening and I can go through the referrals with other agencies and I'm contributing something and getting someone off the street for that evening.
People ring me up and say somebody wants somewhere to stay because there's no youth cafes or anywhere else open and the host can't accommodate them till 9 o'clock, 9:30. So if they're at Shipley Youth Cafe, I walk the dogs down and walk the young people back. And then we just wait till a driver comes to pick them up, to take them off. They sit and watch television with me. And one girl sat the whole night on the floor with the dog, stroking the dog, loving him, which I thought was brilliant.
So I'm going to take you to the host tonight. Your host is Leslie. And she's been doing it.
We have sort of spare rooms, but with us both working full time, we kind of thought about it and the logistics of it. It was going to be difficult, so we kind of agreed to disagree, and so I decided I would be a volunteer driver instead.
We are contacted by the TCP telephone contact person to pick someone up.
And I think being a driver, part of it is just trying to make them feel comfortable and prepare them for the host, especially if they've not done it before. Just tell them about Nightstop and how it works and what happens.
And take them to the host and introduce them to the host. I think it makes them feel a bit more at ease.
I think, what kind of strikes me about the young people is they very often seem just a little bit lost and they just need a little bit of help at that time.
Nightstop experience, it was good. That's actually really good. It's not something you expect.
So my role is as a host for Nightstop, and essentially I'm there to provide a safe space for a young person to sleep for the night.
They'll phone us up probably somewhere around 6 to 6:30 in the evening and say there's so-and-so and so-and-so to come, etc. This is where they're coming from and who's put them on Nightstop and what the problem might be.
They give you a meal, they make you very welcome.
Quite often we chat. Some of them tell us all what's been going on in their lives. I tell them what I've been doing,
And you realise when you listen to them and their stories that it's made such a difference to that person. It's actually not that inconvenient to us.
I think one of the worries a lot of people have is security.
Sometimes when people find out that we're doing it, they go, oh, that sounds really scary that you'd have somebody that you don't know and a young person who is slightly demonised, wouldn't they steal things or be very difficult?
At first I was very apprehensive because I had no idea what to expect. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it.
If you're feeling nervous about the young person before they arrive, remember that they're probably feeling 10 times more nervous than you are.
The first time I went into Nightstop, it gets scary and a bit embarrassing going into people's houses.
But they're not down and out people, and they're just lads who need a bit of help really so that they can get themselves a bit more of an even keel.
In fact, we've been doing it for I think about 4 years now and haven't had any problems at all, and that some of the things they imagine that young people are like aren't actually true.
She showed me into the living room. I noticed she had a piano, so I said, is it okay if I play? She said yeah, and I literally sat there and played for hours and hours and hours and hours.
The people that you get, the hosts, absolutely fantastic.
That was one of the best night's sleep I actually ever had.
It's fairly obvious once you understand how Nightstop works that you've got to have a 24-hour backup system, and that is provided by a team of volunteers.
We take it in turn to be in charge of the mobile phone, which is 24-hour backup number for TCPs or hosts, volunteer drivers, should they have any problems.
And we literally hold a mobile phone that belongs to Bradford Nightstop, take it round with us wherever we go.
And indeed, we have the mobile phone here, because I'm actually fulfilling that role this week.
The main reason for having a mobile phone is to give a sense of security to the volunteers.
There's always someone there to support you and get information from.
So do we have any updates from the last policy subcommittee?
We have management committee meetings every 2 months. Between us, we look at a lot of different aspects of the running of Bradford Nightstop. I find the role very rewarding. For me, the reason why I volunteered on the management committee was as a personal challenge. It gave me something to get my teeth into, something that I hadn't done before.
Because the committee are lovely. I think the meetings are quite entertaining. And I think it's really important to have such a, good group of people, like-minded people, who share, the values and the commitment, to the young people and the project.
I haven't seen it recently. No, well, I think it's one of those things that's there in case.
When volunteers want to volunteer with us, we have an induction programme, we have policies that volunteers agree to, but what we think is really important is to keep going, training volunteers and supporting them as they carry out their role. We have a training programme that volunteers are invited to, and reviews on a yearly basis.
Training is ongoing, you know, it never really finishes.
And we found all the training has been top rate.
And something else sometimes people ask is about whether you have to pay for all these expenses yourself.
So that people across the district can be involved with Nightstop, we do pay out-of-pocket expenses.
I mean, it is there, and we know that we're not out of pocket.
Another new development is expanding the number of safe waiting places that we have, using volunteers and agencies, so that young people have somewhere safe to go whilst they wait for their driver.
He knew the answer on 3, but he got shot down by the rest of the team. We knew that. You've got to act a bit.
I love working with volunteers because all the volunteers are committed to doing something positive and are bothered about young people, who are actually in difficulty. Whereas a lot of the time, people could walk by, could think, well, you know, we can't do anything. But the volunteers that are involved are determined to make a difference.
You know, anybody can put money in a collecting box, but practical help might be more useful.
You know, if there weren't no Nightstop, then I'd probably be dead, me now, or locked up or somewhere. It's the only thing I'd do.
Would I recommend it to anybody else? Yes, I would. Definitely recommend it to other people.
I moved in at Bradford Fire.
Now I've got my float and from BCCP, which still helped me, and I am very glad.
Oh, if somebody was considering volunteering for Nightstop, we'd say go for it. We've been so blessed by everybody that's walked through our door, and you're never on your own, you're never isolated.
I would say try it out. I'm sure they would find it really worthwhile.
You can actually go to sleep knowing you've housed someone for the night, and once again they're off the streets.
And ever since then I've changed, and I liked my life as it is.
Hopes for the future, to get a nice job, get myself a nice wife, and settle down, have a family.
I hope to do well on Prince's Trust and just carry on, yeah.
The need is still very much there, and it looks as if over the next few years the need might actually increase.
There's many different roles though that in ways in which people could get involved.
So I think there's lots of ways you could do something, and I think I would encourage people to do it, find it very rewarding.
I'm amazed at how often I've sat here laughing with a Nightstopper. We've had some great fun, you know.
You know, you don't have to have a posh place, you don't have to be old, you don't have to be young, you can be any background.
I would say do it. It's incredibly rewarding, it's worthwhile, and it's very easy.
I say go for it, join up.